So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about sensitive people. There are a couple different kinds of sensitive people, and then adversely there are particularly insensitive people, and you can most certainly have a condition that would be diagnosable by a trained professional, licensed psychologist or what have you, but a lot of people tend to sort of just throw around terms like empath and narcissist, and they're all actually real things that I think we should be a little bit more careful than to just to say. So in particular with empaths, I've seen that term thrown around a lot by people who I'm positive are not. And I think that those people, what they mean is that they are highly sensitive people. This, again, is a diagnosable thing. You should see a professional, but you can also take a test. If you Google it, it's online. There's an online version. But anyhow, highly sensitive people are just that, highly sensitive to sound, to things around them, maybe smells, physical things like that, but also, obviously, as you might think, emotional things. So, a highly sensitive person might worry that people are going to judge them or think poorly of them, or you know, they're easily jarred, things like that. And the difference is with an empath, they also pick up on and absorb the energies of people around them. So a highly sensitive person might notice that you're in a bad mood. An empath feels what you're feeling, and it's uncontrollable. So for me, I believe that I cross over both of those. Some people might have one or the other, or both. So if you are not someone who has those qualities, I feel like it just might be useful for you to kind of hear the perspective of someone who does, so that's why I'm here. Because growing up, I did find a lot of the time that people just didn't understand what I was feeling, but I also didn't understand that that's not how everyone felt. So now, as an adult, it's a little bit more obvious to me, but it is still challenging because, like I said, people don't understand the word sensitive. It gets used in a really negative way a lot. Like, if someone reacts poorly to a joke, we might be like, oh, you're just being sensitive. That's different than this type of sensitive. The sensitive that we mean, I almost want to replace it with perceptive. Because, like I said, we notice things a lot more, but it's also the reason why we would say sensitive is because it affects us. So, even if you're not an empath and you're not feeling someone else's sadness or anger or whatever they might be feeling, it disturbs you to pick up on those things from other people. And I don't mean disturb like, I can't believe she's mad, but it jars you in one way or another. How that is manifested just depends on the person, and probably a whole lot of other things too. Like for me, a lot of the time, if I, like when I was working in retail or customer service, if I would have a really just unhappy customer, I would always pick up on that, I would feel that, and I would take it as a reflection on myself, even if I knew it wasn't. That's how it felt. So if you are a highly sensitive person, you can work on that, and you can get to where you say, okay, I know everybody's going through their own issues. I know that what I'm picking up on is their own thing, but it doesn't really make you feel better. At least it hasn't for me yet. So I think that's one thing that people who don't have that quality just sort of don't understand, because all my life I've dealt with that, and people pretty much just want to say, get over it, it's not about you. I know, but it still doesn't feel very good. So for me, it's kind of split between when I might feel just frustrated by that versus when I have, on the empath side of me, fully taken over someone else's emotions. Another thing that I think you might not understand if you don't possess those qualities is we don't always know. So I might feel like debilitating sadness, and I would just think that this is like a wave of depression for me, but actually I've picked up someone else's sadness. That happens, and it's really hard to tell because, like I said, we do take it on as our own. It's hard to separate, is this my sadness, or am I taking on someone else's? And I don't know if it even really matters, because it's just as real. I don't really know the answer as to how to handle that or what you can do to make it better. I imagine that what is most helpful to me is probably when I take it a step further and try and do things that are nice or helpful for other people, even if it's not the person whose sadness that I picked up on, or the person whose loss or frustration or guilt. Even if it's not that same person, it definitely is a refresher for me if I am able to help someone. Almost to the point that I have a helping problem, maybe. Helping people kind of just makes me feel a little bit better. Maybe in a way I'm absorbing that opposite of the sadness because I'm absorbing the feeling of being helped. So that's kind of the difference there. But not just, I think that just describing it as sensitivity really undersells how it feels to be highly sensitive. So shifting gears back from empath to highly sensitive, it's not just like I feel bummed out when someone is mean to me. It's like my whole day and maybe my whole week is ruined when someone is mean to me. And really, to just sort of sum it up, all of my emotions on a scale of 1 to 100, someone who's not highly sensitive, who's just like an ordinary person, not a narcissist or anything like that, but just a normal person, they might feel their normal emotions, their resting state at somewhere like a 20 out of 100, and I might feel that at like a 60. Everything is just very, very intense. We don't really have a say in that, and the only thing that you can do is learn that it's happening and how to handle it, and also surround yourself with people who are okay with that. Like, the person that I'm with now, my husband, Seth, I can be on 100 at any time, and he understands that, even though that isn't how he is. I would definitely recommend for anyone who is a highly sensitive person to just surround yourself with people who are the same way, not highly sensitive. I mean the same way like Seth, that they are okay with it, they are patient with it. Because everything really is just very, very magnified. If something were to go wrong for maybe like a non-sensitive person, they could just be like frustrated by it. But if that same thing went wrong for me, I would feel hopeless and overwhelmed and just like plagued with sadness. And on the other hand, like we love very, very deeply and intensely. It's really silly. Like when I was in like high school, if I would get a crush on someone, it was so embarrassing to look back on now. Like I would write these ridiculous love notes and quote song lyrics. It was terrible. But that's because I really like fell in love with someone. If I liked you, I loved you. And that really has not changed about me. Like with my friends, you know, I would pretty much would do anything for my friends, you know. So everything is just always on 10. And I eventually learned that it was a little embarrassing to write those love notes, and that I eventually learned that it wasn't that maybe no one liked me back, but that I was overwhelming them by behaving that way. So I stopped really being interested in people like that. I gravitated more towards the artistic types like myself, who tend to be highly sensitive. And that's a true thing, because highly sensitive people are greatly affected by art, music, everything. So gravitated towards those people. And then also just be very aware. So journaling can help with that. Talking with people can help. So like even if you're conscious of what you say, and what you say is not, I'm in love with you, you might still say, I feel very strongly for you. And that kind of like gets that out a little bit. So if you're friends with, or in a relationship with, or you know, highly sensitive people, and you're just like, why are they always like that? So that's why. Everything we feel is just way elevated, and sometimes it is a blessing, and sometimes it's a curse. But we don't really get a say in that. I think anyone who tries to sell you on curing yourself of it is just full of it. It's the type of person that you are, and I think you should embrace that and enjoy it, and do everything you can to not be debilitated by it, but also know that it can be debilitating at times, and we are all just trying to figure out how to work through that. So that's a highly sensitive person. But again, I just want to reiterate, don't think just because you feel things very strongly, just because you pick up on things, that does not make you an empath. It's just kind of insulting to see that term get thrown around, because I've seen highly sensitive people who possess nearly no empathy call themselves empaths. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you care about it. Just because you notice something, you know, you might have better vision than I do, and it doesn't mean that you like art. Do you see what I'm saying? Those two things are different. That being said, being an empath isn't like you're a better person or you're superior. It's not like you should wish that you were by any means. Sometimes it's easy to wish that you weren't, because picking up on other people is difficult. It's exhausting, and it's to the point that, like, right now I'm a stay-at-home mom. I write, I work on our band from home, and I babysit, but I am dreading the day, if it ever comes, that I have to work in the public again, because it was just, I mean, I would have to go in the bathroom and cry all the time. sometimes because I'm a highly sensitive person who just, someone might have been the tiniest bit rude, and I picked that up 15 times over, versus my coworker was like, oh, were they rude? I'm like, yes. Other times because I'm an empath, and someone was heartbroken when they came through, and I did the best I could to do something nice for them, and if I had the authority to give them something, here and there I would, but it still doesn't take away that sadness entirely. So, I am hoping to not really have to do retail or food service much more in my life, but that's just kind of an example of what it's like. And I've just had, it's two parts. One, I've the misconception about HSP versus empath. They're not the same thing, and I just want to get that out there. But the other part is, you know, I've just had a lot of negative perceptions of highly sensitive people in my life, and I wanted to clear that up a little bit. That term that we use, sensitive, for people who, you know, can't take a joke or are easily offended or something, that's not the same as being an empath. And we should kind of be careful when we say those things, because they are really not connected in any way. Like, and also you can be an empath and not be offended by things. You can be an empath and have a great sense of humor. Like, for me, versus some other people that are in my life, I am way less offended by, you know, if someone makes fun of me, like, for a joke, you know. But if something is real, I am way more sensitive to that. So, you know, those are different things, and I just kind of wanted to explain that. Hopefully this was helpful to someone. I don't know if I'm just ranting and blabbering on for 20 minutes here, but that is what it's like. And even if this isn't educational about anything, that's how I am, and I did want to just kind of put that out there. You know, with all the music and videos and tweets and things that I put out into the internet, I think it's important to know that about me in particular, because that's something you might not pick up on if you didn't know a person in real life outside of the internet. You might not pick up on that they're a highly sensitive person, or they're an empath, unless you're also an empath. So anyway, I hope this was not just a waste of time. I hope someone watched this. But anyway, I hope everyone has a fabulous day in this beautiful weather.